Hella waiting. This shit is
Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you're watching this on YouTube, you might notice that the lighting is a little strange, kind of dramatic. I'm in the process of figuring out my studio situation, moving things around, so if it feels a little dramatic, that is why. But I am very excited to introduce to you a new guest who's an incredibly talented electronic music producer and DJ based in Los Angeles, California. He's got a new song out right now called Keep You Close, which is off his debut self-titled EP, which will be released September 1st. Before we get the episode started, please make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to follow me at Parker Whirling on Instagram and at @onthatnote_podcast. And on that note, please welcome Monsieur Frazier. I'm sitting here with Monsieur Frazier, an electronic music and producer. Let me take that back. I'm sitting here with Monsieur Frazier, an electronic music producer and DJ based out of Los Angeles, California. Congratulations on releasing your newest single, Keep You Close, which came out August 20th. It's a total banger, and it's off of your debut self-titled EP, which will be released September 1st. I'm very excited to hear the whole deal. Well, actually, I did get to hear a sneak peek of the whole thing, and it's great. But everyone else is going to hear it September 1st, which I'm excited for. I really want to ask you about, going into the release of your first EP. Usually that's kind of like a big deal for people. Did you have any personal creative goals or visions going into this project of how you wanted it to turn out?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted it to be a showcase of all the music that I would DJ. So I play so many different styles within like kind of more underground house and techno. So a lot of breaks, a lot of acid, weird modular sounding stuff, some deep house, really jazzy stuff, something with some soul and some funk to it. There's all kinds of things, UK garage, little hip hop, little bass music in there as well too. So definitely wanted it to check all those boxes so I could play them out, when I'm DJing and not feel like I'm having to like force it or but also just like showcase my range as an artist and that you can make something that exists within those different elements but still kind of presents itself as one project, so or like one idea. Like I think so many people get caught up in like genre politics, and it's been such like you have to play like minimal deep or you have to play like minimal tech or you have to play strictly this. It's like no, you can, all those things kind of exist under, I think, the one umbrella, and they're just different sides of like of a similar coin, I guess. So just wanted to show that you can make music like that and that you can have all these different things exist and still sound cohesive and flow. Yeah.
Genre politics is a great term that I haven't heard, but I know exactly what you mean. And it's interesting that phenomenon, I guess, exists in a lot of different quote unquote genres. Like I know like metal is really intense like that too. And I'll be honest, I don't listen to too much like electronic music. I like a lot of things that are inspired by electronic music, but like I do really like the stuff that your manager or publicist, Jamie Sloan, shout out to her, sends me, because she a little bit knows like more of the electronic music I do get into, and your stuff definitely fits that. And I think what you
Thank you.
said, yeah, of course, what you said kind of explains why I do like it, because you incorporate so much into it. You're not really like sticking to a specific thing. Do you feel like in the like the electronic music community that is that's a big I don't want to say problem, but that's a big thing that people talk about, is like having to stick to a certain sound, like only house or only deep house tech. I don't know the terms, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, no, I do think it's like an issue. I would say an issue, yeah, for sure. Like, I think so many producers and DJs like only listen to dance music. Like, like I instead of listening to everything, like music, like I listen to rap and hip hop probably more, if not more than I listen to dance music. And like a lot of bedroom pop too. I listen to a lot of indie pop and bedroom pop as well. Um, and I listen to like a lot of rock too. And I'm like I grew up on like Sublime and Rage and stuff. So and Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that all definitely like makes its way into my music somehow. And I think subconsciously people can pick up on that. Because like I don't want to just hit electronic music fans, like I said, because that's not just what I grew up on. I want to hit kinds of other people that different styles of music that I listen to as well. Let everyone enjoy it. But I think I think the issue is so many DJs and producers just stick to dance music and stick to electronic music, and they don't really listen to anything outside of that, and it slows the process of like the music evolving into something into other things and mutating into other things. It's just like because then everyone just starts recycling the same sounds and kind of carbon copying everything. I think
Exactly.
I think like some of the best, like you can go with hip hop. Some of the best hip hop came from people trying stuff different, trying different things like Kanye bringing in soul. He obviously wasn't the first to do that, but like, he really made that like a thing, like where he brought in soul music to it and changed the sound. And or like, later on with 808s where he brought like kind of electronic and kind of shoegazy elements into it and changed it up. So it's a similar, I guess it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It is a journey that you go through when you're trying to discover your own sound, because I think we all want to create something that hasn't been done before, as opposed to just creating, like you said, a carbon copy of what already exists. And of course, you have your influences that you can't help but take from subconsciously or consciously. How do you feel like your sound has evolved over the years, and where do you see it going in the future?
That's a good question. Over the years, I'll definitely say that I think my tastes always get a little deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into like what I'm into, and then I can eventually have to like pull myself out of that and be like, all right, like I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole. I need to like still to maintain that innocence about the genre that I loved. You know, so that could be with like dubstep and drum and bass and like a lot of the old like UK bass music I used to listen to when I first kind of got into this culture, and then as well as like with house music and like I definitely always just always find myself rabbit holing into whatever genre I really like and just becoming totally obsessed with it and trying to find out the most underground and coolest thing about it, and then like I said, pulling myself out of it and kind of like, okay, like and maneuvering from there, and then so I don't know. I mean, I definitely see myself using my voice more, using like rapping a bit more and kind of incorporating more hip hop elements and definitely more pop elements, but not in a way where I'm like following kind of I guess the basic pop structure that's been presented by like the radio, I guess, rather than by the American radio, but like more like just something that just feels like it has like a broader appeal to it. So maybe not sonically pop music, but like um ideally pop music.
Yeah, well, it is cool that you say that, because I can picture going into the future. I always think that when people start off with a more um, niche sound, I guess, once
Hmm.
they bridge themselves into a more like pop world, they they bring into it a like a perspective that's unique, instead of starting from a more generic place. And that's not to like shit on people that only do pop music, but I personally just love to see the transitions. And even if you go from pop to something else, it's like you're taking that and bringing your experiences into a totally new territory, which is bound to create conversations and change in that environment, and then everything kind of sprouts from there.
Yeah, exactly. couldn't agree more. It's like kind of like watching Diplo, you know. Sorry, there's like this bag under my bed. It's
You're good.
like kind of like watching Diplo, you know what I mean? Like he he started off like very kind of in the underground Philly dance club scene, um, and then just started working with MIA, and then Major Lazer happened, and it gradually turned itself into something that's more pop. But he was never trying to present itself as like pop. He was just kind of doing what he liked, and people were catching on to it. And so yeah, by the time he became like a fully fledged pop star, he did bring this unique perspective and this unique influence to popular music, and kind of changed the way we listen to music. Not saying that's what I'm gonna do, but that's something I definitely am inspired by, and seeing that because yeah, it's definitely the broadest way to, or the best way to reach the biggest audience, and get your sound heard and try to change, I don't know, culture as you see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you don't want to do it forcefully either. It
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
comes naturally to you as you delve more and more into different types of music, and your taste expands, and it's more of a subconscious thing. Um, I noticed that you worked with Nick Garcia on this song "Keep You Close." How was this collaboration process? And do you have any immediate highlights that stick out when you were working with him?
Yeah, Nick is great. It was super fun. We made that song in like, I think like we finished it over the course of a month because just scheduling issues, but we did it in like two-hour sessions. So we finished it very quickly. Um, and that's just kind of speaks to how well we work together. Like, we didn't not one thing was overthought, or one thing was debated, or well, we should go here, we should go there. It's like we knew exactly what we were doing, when we were making the song, and like where we wanted to go with it, and just kind of letting ideas just flow out of us without questioning them at all, basically. And just yeah, like he would do something, and I'd be like, yeah, that's sick, let's do it. And then I'd do something, and be like, yeah, that's sick, let's do it. And there's no no like, oh, I don't know, you know what I mean. And then
Felt effortless.
felt effortless. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes, it felt very effortless, and it was super fun. I mean, we're good friends, and so I think that's very important as well. When making music with someone, is I definitely think that there should be some level of friendship there. Um, so because it just adds a different level of trust and comfortability. Um, and yeah, we both have like very similar taste in music. So like I presented the idea, and he knew exactly what I was trying to do, and everything he would do, I would be like, "Yep, okay, you got it." Um, so yeah, that was the whole thing was kind of a highlight, honestly. The whole
That's awesome.
experience. Yeah.
So even though it was effortless and overall a great experience, did you experience any challenges that came along with this? I feel like, with every project, there's bound to be something. It might not have anything to do with the collaboration itself, but maybe it was more exterior. Was there any challenges you kind of had to get through, and how did you do that?
Yeah, yeah, actually, one of the reasons why it took so long to finish the song is because I had to go to work, at my day job
Mm,
still. So, and I work Nick's studios in Hollywood, and I work all the way in West LA, and that's like a good 8, 9 miles of traveling right there, in the middle of Los Angeles in the daytime. So that was not easy to do at all. And I
logistically, kind of a nightmare.
logistically, it was kind of a nightmare. Plus scheduling as well. Like I said, took about a month to finish just because our schedule just kept not aligning. Um, but also, I do think that is what is a big part of what caused us to finish the song so quickly, because we didn't have time to overthink ideas. We just had to go with whatever we had and just make it work. So it was a double-edged sword.
Yeah, interesting how a certain challenge or just nuisance can be the reason why it ends up like sounding as good as it does. Like you're in the studio for 2 hours at a time. You don't have time to like fuck around. You gotta like do what feels good and just go for it and trust that that is what is going to happen.
Exactly, exactly. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, because we it's kind of like that, making the best with what you have, saying, like we had to make the best of what we had. We had very limited time, so that was what we had to do. Just make the best of that limited time and use it to our advantage.
Do you have any advice for artists when it comes to picking and choosing a collaborative partner or just working with other people in general?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, make sure that your friends, um, you don't have to be besties or anything, but just make sure that there's a level of friendship and trust there, because that level of trust does come with a level of friendship, and like comfortability and you know being able to be honest with someone if they're doing something that you don't really necessarily like when you're working with them is key. Just as well as it is that you encourage them when something something sick happens, and you encourage that idea and let that idea grow. Um, because yeah, I feel like so many people try to force collaborations just because they like someone's music. Just because like you like someone's music does not necessarily mean you're gonna like that person, which is fine, but it's not gonna do well for either of you, I think, in the studio, um, and may even make you think of their music differently after that
Yeah.
session. You know what I mean? So that's to be my biggest advice. Like everyone I collab with is a friend of mine, and I do mostly collabs. So, um, 'cause I just like I like making music with my friends. Like to me, that's just so fun. It's like when you're a kid and your friend comes over and you play video games with them, or
Right.
you're going to skateboard or play basketball with them. It's kind of that same thing. It's just a fun activity to do with your friends. So
Yeah, it's cool that when you know them so well, you know their music taste, you know what they're into, you know what they're not into, or you could even use that to like push each other in the right direction or like challenge each other to do something that maybe otherwise they wouldn't because you know them so well. Whereas if you don't know them that well, you could either push them too hard, not knowing it's something that they shouldn't do, or maybe you're not pushing hard enough because you're worried about upsetting them.
exactly, exactly, and especially if it's someone whose music that you like too before you met, you all you have this kind of like admirer syndrome a little bit, like where you're just like, oh, I don't want to
Yeah,
like say anything to like you piss them off, like they might not everyone work with me again. It's like you can't do that, like because then whatever you do is going to come off as passive aggressive if it's something they're doing something you don't like, and no one likes that. Um, but yeah, too, the other cool thing about it is, I mean, I just sometimes when we get in the studio, we don't even make anything. We'll just listen to music for 2 3 hours and just talk and nerd out about really cool songs that we like and artists that we like and show each other cool music. And then next time we'll come back and be like, okay, well now we know what we like, and then we'll get started on something right away and finish it within like an hour because like we knew exactly what we were trying to do from
right.
from the start. And so just the friendship level was there. There was just it was all yeah, it was easy. It was an easy process and we were having fun. Of course, no matter what things are gonna happen, there's gonna be a disagreement at some point. There's gonna be some sort of like, just somebody not wanting to do something or somebody wanting to do something that, you can't that's inevitable. But yeah, I mean, having that level of trust kind of also dictates how you kind of handle that situation. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you clearly love working with other artists because you've been running your own label, event brand slash collective called Understated since I think 2016. Is that right?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
2016.
So that's awesome. I love when people do, they do more than one thing because it just makes you like a jack of all trades. Like you know more sides of the business or the art. And what would you say is your favorite thing about doing this, about running this company?
Um, definitely like yeah, definitely the network, the friendships, just yeah, all the friendships that have been born out of this and all the connections that have come out of this and all of the not even connections in like an industry, just like the genuine like connections I made with people through music. Um is that's definitely the best part of it. I mean, I have so many friends and just people that I feel like I can, just make music with or listen to music with or go out to parties with now, or just just because of this. Yeah, and also just like being able to like control kind of my own my own narrative through something that I started, as an artist. Like, like it's so cool being able to release my debut EP on my label that I started with my friends. Like I have full control over all of it. Like I picked what songs were going to be on the EP. I picked the release date. I picked the artwork. Um, who I wanted to collaborate with. Like it was all just so like, yeah, it's hands on as it can possibly get. But not in a stingy way, in a way where I just felt free.
Right. There's no gatekeepers. You are the gatekeeper, so
I
you
am the
get to make the
gatekeeper.
decisions.
Exactly, exactly. And also, what's interesting about that is too is if I do something wrong or make a bad decision, it also falls on me. It doesn't fall on anyone else. So it's like there's like this weird there's pressure, but there's also no pressure. It's like I only have to answer for myself and people that I'm running my label with. Um,
Right. You don't have the ability to blame, an executive because they made a decision that you didn't agree with, but you felt like you had to go along with it. It's like, maybe it sucks that you're going to be mad at yourself, but the flip side of that is, you learn your own lessons, your own way, and then you can take that and grow from it instead of being in like this cycle of blaming someone else because you didn't have the power to do anything differently.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Or worry about someone else dropping the ball on your shit, or like an A&R, not wanting to
Right.
sign your music, or just there's so many things that happen. And I mean, also I am in that position though too, where I am in A&R and I do have to sign other people's music, and it's so you definitely see I definitely have like more of a soft spot for artists now too, in terms of even if there's someone's music I don't like, I'm like I think that there's I guess a way to approach just telling them like, oh, maybe this isn't for us, but like, keep sending us stuff or keep doing this, or like we'll still support you, like we still like what you do. Like I think, yeah, I don't think we see artists as numbers. I think we see them as artists and as people, because we're also artists. It's like a collective of artists run by artists. So I think there's a different side of it that you see, with that.
I'm sure it feels more
Yeah.
communal than just being signed to like this monolithic label that you really are just like someone who's getting them their bottom line, and like not saying you can't be successful that way, but I would think it's a little more soul sucking than being part of
Yeah.
a community of people who care about you more than just are you making anybody any money.
Exactly. 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 It's very communal, and it's exactly that. I mean, a lot of the artists we've signed have gone on to become like some of them gone on to become best friends and make music with each other all the time now, and work together with so many different so many opportunities, and do so many cool things together now, like separate from us. But it might have been an introduction that we made, or someone whose music was heard by someone else that's on our label, and like they really liked what they did, so they reached out to them because they were like, oh well, we're on the same label. They already had that connection there, and they end up working together and end up, like I said, forming their own alliances and musical partnerships with one another, and just planting that, and they take that seed and they plant it somewhere else with other people, and it just grows. And I think it just creates a better environment for music, as opposed to, I think, what we've seen in this industry, for the last however many years of, of labels, and just the general kind of dark side of the way artists are treated and treat themselves sometimes, even, or treat each other sometimes in the music industry. It's like, excuse me, it's like, yeah, we're fostering an environment of community, and just art for the sake of making art, and people collaborating for the sake of, love of their art, in each other's art. So yeah, it's great. I love it. I really really love it. Probably the best thing that I think, excuse me, that I think I've done with music, is start this brand and this company.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. You've been doing this, running this. I hate to even say company. It's like
Yeah.
it's a little bit more than that. But
Yeah.
Understated, you've been running that for about 5 years now. So you must have gone through some challenges dealing with this. What would you say is one of the biggest lessons you've learned having started this and having run it for 5 years?
Um, Honestly, I think is an answer people would think I would say, but honestly, just the importance of like friendship. It's like that's one thing I really have learned from doing something like this because you have to work with so many different people and personalities all the time. Even like there's like seven of us that are like the core crew that we started it with. That we're saying we're still together as a crew till this day. We've had it. Some few people have come and left, but it's mainly the core seven. And I don't think we would still be doing this if we didn't maintain our friendship and keep that as like the highest priority of everything. We've always said like if this isn't fun for us and we don't like if this is becoming more than if this seems like it's gonna take over what our friendship is or ruin our friendship or cause resentment in that we're not gonna do it anymore. It's just that simple. Um, and also we're able to, like I said, we're able to be honest with each other and sort of check each other or you know encourage each other um, because we are friends. So but it's also a challenge too. How do you seven different personalities plus
Yeah.
an extension of like 100 other personalities grow and work and do things together and like it's definitely not easy, but you have to work at it and it definitely makes it worth it when everything clicks and you guys are on the same page and you make something really cool happen, you do something really cool and you're just like, yeah, all right, like this is why we do this. So yeah, I think that's the challenge, but once again, one of those challenges where I think it also kind of becomes like a good thing, you know.
Right. That's impressive that 7 people who are all I'm assuming equal parts, of this machine having being all on the same page, having the same vision for what it is, because it only takes one person to deviate to maybe cause a problem. But like you said, having the baseline of already being best friends makes it so much easier instead of like meeting some random dude at the coffee shop and like he's like, oh, he makes great music, he's got some money, let's go ahead and do something, and then suddenly a year 2 years down the line you're dealing with some problems because you didn't have the same view from the beginning that you didn't even know about, but you guys are already really tight, so I'm sure it makes solving those problems a little bit easier when they do come up.
Exactly. It really does. I mean, it's just it takes nothing more than a conversation, like the times we do have our differences or do get upset with one another. Like it'll be just a quick little phone call, like, hey, what's going on? Like let's talk. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I did this, and it's usually a misunderstanding. It's usually like a dumb misunderstanding. And it's just like, okay, cool, I got it. All right, yeah. I'll make sure that the message gets across clearer and better next time. And then we forget about it like that
Yeah.
quickly, and then we're on to the next thing or on to figuring something else out. So yeah, that's it's definitely a really good part of of this whole thing. I think that's definitely I don't know, just one of the challenges, but like you said, but one of the best parts about it too.
Yeah, I'm sure communication is one of the most important things when it comes to all that, especially because you do have 7 people and everybody has different communication skills. Not everybody thinks something that they said is maybe, gonna rub somebody the wrong way. But
Hmm.
if that kind of shit happens, it's helpful for people to be able to communicate. And that, I mean, that goes far beyond running a label or, a collective like this, but it just seems to be like that is certainly a big theme of what we've been talking about, communication and trust in the people that you work with.
Yeah, exactly. No, communication is key. I mean, Jamie's my best friend. If there's something I don't like, I'll just tell her like I don't know if I want to do this or I don't have time to do this or I'm busy, I'm in over my head, I'm here, I'm there, just it's all, I'm always approaching her from at a friend place first, especially if it's something where I'm like in over my head because she knows I'm like I have a day job and I just and this she's I very much have a lot going on at all times. One of those people, and so it's definitely not one of those situations where it's like, well, this is what you signed up for, and this is what you have to do, and I went out of my way to do this. It's like, okay, well, no, it's like, all right, well, we'll try to figure something else out, like let's move here, let's move there, let's see what we can do about this, you know what I mean? And there's no pressure.
Yeah,
Um,
nobody's keeping score.
Nobody, yeah, exactly. And at the same time, though, too, I do have this incentive of, okay, cool, I don't want to let my friend down either,
Right.
like my like she's doing a lot for me that she necessarily doesn't have to do. She's doing because she loves me, so it's like that other element of like, yeah, so I don't want to let this person down either, so let me, put my put my best foot forward and get it done. And so yeah, it's communication is everything. Whether it's music or life or just anything, friends or family, and communication is everything. And also music is communication too. So
Very true. I think that's a great transition into the last five, where I'll just ask you like five quick questions
sick.
and we'll be done.
Cool.
Question number one is in the studio or playing live?
Playing live all day long.
Ooh, no hesitation.
I'm a DJ first, DJ forever. That's playing live. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and you just played live at Splash House, so that makes
Yes.
sense that you get to get that energy out. I haven't
Yes.
played live in a long time, but that energy is pretty unmatched.
I hope you get to play live again soon because there's no better
Thank
feeling.
you.
There's
Yeah,
no better
hopefully,
feeling.
hopefully soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Question number two is, what do you think is a perfect album front to back?
That is a good question. That's a hard question for me to answer because I like so many albums and I have so many favorite albums of all time. I'm gonna say what's just recently something I've just been very into, and that's Tyler the Creator's album, Call Me If You Get Lost.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Front to back, that album is no skips. It's just turned up on 10 the whole time, and it's so tight. It's such a good album.
Do you think it's better than Igor?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
That's the hot topic, it seems like nowadays.
it is. It's funny. I was on Reddit last night when I got back from Splash. I was to shut my phone off, and I was on Kanye Reddit, and I was on Tyler Reddit, and I was on all these forums debating on the like Kanye's albums from this decade and Tyler's last three albums. And what people were saying were the best ones. And I think I don't know. I haven't figured it out if I like Flower Boy or Call Me If You Get Lost yet. I think I still need more time with Call Me If You Get Lost, but yeah, Flower Boy still hits a little different for me.
Hmm.
But yeah, Call Me If You Get Lost is pretty incredible.
Yeah, those three. I like it's crazy that Flower Boy kind of gets like discarded nowadays because when that came out, it was so big. Like I listened to it constantly, and it just shows like the brilliance of Tyler to be able to create two more albums that like blew an already an amazing album out of the water.
Yeah, it's wild. They tell like three different stories too on it, like three different very weird like narrative, just and sonically and aesthetically capture them too, like not just like lyrically as well, like
Yeah, visually, everything is stunning too. He's on a
yeah,
different level.
he really is like that malaise of like Flower Boy, that like it's just like Flower Boy just sounds like an album or one of those days where it's just like a summer day where it's just really really hot and you just feel like you're drained and you're bored, but like it's still super nice outside, so you're not like completely depressed. You're just like, oh, it feels beautiful, but like this day sucks. It's I don't know how you capture that feeling. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, anyways, I can go on and on about this.
No, I feel you. We definitely could spend like the rest of the podcast just talking about that. But I'll
Yeah.
go to the third
Yeah.
question here, which is who's your dream artist or producer to work with?
um
I know we were just talking about, work with friends and all that, but if, you had to
yeah.
pick one of the greats, or not even one of the greats, just somebody you think would be really cool.
Julio Bashmore. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I'm not.
He's like he's a house DJ, house music producer. He was like really big in like the early 2010s. And just kind of put his album out in like 2015 and just kind of disappeared away from the scene. I think he's like a very introverted guy, but his music is probably the most influential on the music I make today.
Huh.
And he's very influential on like the house scene, Atlanta globally as like as a whole. I mean, he was a huge like I would say he from like 2010 to like 2013, like he kind of ran house music globally. And yeah, he's just made some of my favorite music like ever period in any genre of music. So yeah, I would love to work with him. I would love to work with Julio Bashmore. If he ever listens to this, like hit me up.
Yeah.
Let's get in the studio. Let's make some good music. And like, or I could just listen to you like you play chords all day long and just kind of just sit in it. Either one. Yeah.
Julio Bashmore. I'll
Bashmore.
definitely listen to him after this.
Yeah,
Usually
please.
when I'm interviewing people, I like to think of a couple people that might be dope for them to work with, just in my head. And I couldn't help but notice in the mirror behind you, you got the Subtract album. I'd love to see you work with
Wait,
Subtract.
I do?
I think, don't you?
Oh wait, no, wait, hold on. Oh wow, that's crazy you noticed that. No, that's a painting
Oh, it's
my
not Subtract?
that's a painting my boss gave me. No, but I do love that album. That is one of my favorite albums ever. So
Whoa,
that is
that's funny
funny.
because
That's
I'm
crazy.
looking at it right now. It still looks like the hand holding the whatever the
Yeah.
fucking animal is.
Yeah. Wow. No, wow, that's nuts. I love that album. Funny, and that's funny you mentioned that Subtract and Julio Bashmore are very like artistically linked together.
Oh,
Like they're from
really?
they're from like the same era and from of like UK house music and worked with a lot of the same artists. And I'm pretty sure we're label mates at some point. Um, so it's crazy you mentioned that. Like they both worked with Jessie Ware very early on in her career.
Oh, no way. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's funny. Wow. Wild.
That's fun. Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm still looking at it and I still think it looks like that.
It's Subtract. We'll just say it's Subtract.
Yeah,
It's
we'll just say
subconsciously
it is.
Subtract.
It was funny because I was like, oh, who am I gonna say? Like, I'm not that into the DJ like house music
Yeah,
world. And then I saw it. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, Subtract. I know Subtract. Uh,
yeah.
and the other one I was thinking was Nicholas Jar. That would be really
Mm,
dope.
another big influence of mine too, 100%. And kind of I was saying about pop music, those are two guys that were able to like cross over, but like still maintain their underground appeal and maintain that just their artistic credibility very much so, especially Subtract. Like he's someone that is like super just at that era and him is someone I'm super inspired by and influenced by and it kind of exactly where I want to go with my music, like almost to a T. So that's actually and Nicholas Jar's another one too. That's really wild that came up because yeah,
Yeah.
especially
Do you have a specific project you like of his? Because he has so many different projects and so many
yeah.
different names. I can't even keep up.
Against All Logic, I mean, it's just for sure
Yeah,
my favorite.
that would
Against All
be
Logic is
that's like really the only one I know too well. And his work with FK Twigs is
of course,
sick.
exactly. No, Against All Logic is very much in the wheelhouse of like what I play as a musician, as a DJ stuff. So it works the best for. I could actually. There's a lot of Nicholas Jar songs I can play them out, but they're not. I'm not gonna say they're not necessarily DJ friendly. Whereas
Mm,
Against All Logic is very much like a club project.
yeah, yeah. His like stuff just on his own name. Some of it gets a little too weird for me. And Against All
Yeah.
Logic is like, all right, I can wrap my head around this a little bit easier.
It's got exactly. And it's like it's cool. He's like doing all these like experimental things and kind of like this weird sampling and but like he keeps it bouncy like no matter what. Like it has funk. Like it has some bounce to it. It's for the dance floor. And
Absolutely.
I really love that. And that's something I really try to do with my EP as well. Like give it. I want to try these weird things and like these weird sampling techniques and do these weird it's just these weird kind of unconventional things, but still keep it rooted in the dance floor and still keep it. So it's like if you're like DJs can still play this out and should still play this out. So yeah.
Nice. I'm glad I can hold a conversation with the DJ. I was a little worried about being able to be able to know the artists and all that, but I try to keep myself a little bit of a foot in the pool. What is that? Toe and dip your toe in the water of each
Yeah.
genre.
I know exactly what you mean. Absolutely. No, I'm glad to. It's honestly, I feel like it's harder for me to hold conversations with DJs than it is non-DJ people.
Yeah, because some people are just purists and they only listen to that one thing and can't
Yeah.
really it's hard to relate to somebody
Like
that knows like the
no,
deepest of deep.
exactly. I was gonna say like I can't talk to DJs about Flower Boy mostly, like or about Tyler
Well,
the Creator, like like and then or Nicholas Jar. I mean, obviously Nicholas Jar, but still not all the way like Nicholas Jar. So
mm-hmm.
that's definitely something cool. So yeah,
Yeah, because some people would be like, Nicholas Jar, that's so mainstream, bro. Like, why would you listen to that? You're like, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Or a lot of the EDM kids, like the bass kids, would be like Nicholas Jar is so boring. This is so boring. It's like so experimental. Like I can't.
Right.
It's like all right.
You're like, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So, question number 4 is what's on your musical rotation right now?
Let me see.
Pull up Spotify.
Let me open Spotify real quick. Wait, why is my Spotify gone? Where'd it go? My Spotify window is just like completely closed.
Oh, weird.
Like it's not even showing up on my thing. Well, definitely Tyler the Creator.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
pretty sure I was just listening to I was listening to a little Uzi. Let's see. Wow, this is so weird. So K-Han, rest in peace. She's a DJ that just passed away.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I was listening to a lot of K-Han recently. Brillstein is a DJ named D Mike B or Brillstein's his alias. He's an artist we just booked for a party that we're doing on November 7th, or sorry, September 17th. And then another guy, Oliver Dollar, who's also playing that party. Just listening to the Carter 3, Lil Wayne.
Oh, wow. Okay, taking it back.
Yeah, Pa Rod. It's a really sick rapper from Oklahoma, I think. Really cool. Claro, listening
Nice.
to Claro albums, listening to the new Nas album, the XX, Flower Boy, Kanye.
Which XX album?
I was listening to the first one.
Okay, the
Like one
only
of my,
one that I think really
I
matters.
I do like all three of them. I actually really
Okay,
do. But no, yes, that is one of my favorite albums of all time, like top five. That album is incredible. Let's see,
that was another
Durante, and
huge one
yeah.
when it came out.
Oh my God, a game changer. That one was a
Yeah,
game changer.
it kind of like brought in minimal, like it made minimal cool,
It's
I
funny
think.
how I was just saying Claro and the XX right next to each other. I feel like you don't get a Claro without the XX. So
Oh, yeah.
especially her new album.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't finished it. I've played it here and there, and there's some cool songs I like. I think Jack Antonoff is sick.
he's
And
so
his,
cool.
like, yeah, I think he's one of my friends thinks he's like the most important producer of our generation, which, that's debatable, but I think he's up there.
He definitely is up there. He's definitely up there for sure. You could definitely make a case for that. I mean,
Hmm.
and then also, I mean, he just put out Lord's album too. Like, so two out like Claro and Lord back to back. I mean, and then
Yeah.
Haim. Like, I mean, he's clearly doing something right.
Taylor
Like
Swift, Lana
Taylor
Del
Swift,
Rey, like,
Lana.
it's
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah. No, for sure, exactly. And I honestly, I feel like you don't get any of those without that first XX album.
Yeah, we're tying it all back to that first
Yeah,
XX
I really,
album.
really don't feel that. I feel like none of that music exists without that album. Truth be told.
Kind of
Uh,
those whispery vocals were like, I don't know, it was such a staple, and they kind of like
yeah,
spurred that trend. I don't want to call it a trend because it makes it sound like bad, but I feel like people were like, "Oh, well, you can really do
yeah.
this."
No, you can. Yeah, you can make quiet music. Like it's a weird thing, like quiet, gentle, soulful music. But also, what I love about what really caught me was that there was stuff was rooted in club music. Like so,
Yeah,
it was like music for like the come down, music like when you came home from the club. That's how I always
right.
viewed it. So like Jamie XX is one of my favorite DJs and producers. That
Yeah.
like super massive influence on me musically. I mean, my song Colors was I was trying to recreate Gosh basically.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah,
Jamie XX put out that whatever the album is with like the rainbow
in
pinwheel
color,
thing.
in
Yeah,
color.
that I wasn't into like my taste in like electronic music was not really
Mm,
there, so I think I need to go back to it because I remember hearing it being like, I don't know, and now I think maybe I'll appreciate it more.
it's one of the best. It's one of the best electronic music albums ever. Like top, like I would say top three.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
guarantee. Like it's you could make a case that it is probably like that it is the greatest electronic music album ever for sure. That album is
Those are
so sick.
strong words. I like
I
it.
I think a lot of people would agree actually. But yeah, definitely strong words. I mean, you might have some Daft Punk stands like trying to kill
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah, of course.
But yeah, no, that album is it's beyond. And his first album too that he did an album before that album with Gil Scott-Heron, right before Gil Scott-Heron died. We're New Here, based on Gil Scott's album I'm New Here. And it's basically like he just took like those Scott Heron songs and just built like house music songs around them and like dubstep songs around them. It's probably one of the coolest albums I've ever heard. Like it's definitely one of the most unique albums I've ever heard in any genre of music. You should check that out. It's actually really, really cool. You'll like it a lot, I think.
Cool.
I think you'd really like it. It's very like I don't even know how to explain it, but it's rooted in like dance music, but it has these weird musical like elements, like really jazzy, really soulful, really, really mellow, and really like just kind of vibed out. It's sick.
Yeah, I've got some good homework to do. I'll be checking out
Yeah.
those Jamie
Yeah.
XX albums.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
final question here. It seems like you're a pretty big Kanye stan from the way we've talked about him. What would you say is his best album of all time? And if you can't pick one, what would be the top three?
I can tell you right now, I was just on Reddit for Kanye Reddit.
Right.
His best album, in my opinion, of all time is The Life of Pablo. Hot take. But
Ooh.
it is The Life of Pablo. It's like, yeah, it's there's the two Kanyes. There's pre his mother passing, which you get that album run of late registration or college dropout, late registration, graduation, and then it's like pre his mom, or then it's post his mom passing. Then you get 808s and Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus, Life of Pablo. I kind of stop it there. I kind of stop at Life of Pablo.
Yeah.
Then you have the post of that era now too, which is like Ye and Kitsy Ghost and Donda, and Jesus is King. But I think in that 4 album run where it ends at Life of Pablo, I think he finally hit all the experimental weirdness that he kind of started with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy or 808s even. And I think he kind of hit all those boxes finally. Like he had like the sad 808 moments, and he had the zany Yeezus moments, and then he had the big gorgeous My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy moments, and then you had him really really rapping. Like I think that was the best he'd rapped on an album too. Like
Which one?
Life of Pablo, just from like
Oh,
a
yeah.
pure rap, just from like a pure rapping standpoint. Like on No More Parties in LA. Like he just that's like
Yeah.
that might be his best verse of all time. Like he snapped on that song.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is my favorite Kanye album. I never get tired of that album. It's so fun. And I think it was like a very important time in my life when it came out. I was like 25, 26, like just in my mid 20s, just running around being a crazy person around
Right.
LA, like staying out way too late. That album like soundtracked a lot of crazy fun nights for me.
That is funny because I live in Atlanta now, but I used to live in LA for about 5.5 years. So
Yeah.
right when I moved out there, like maybe a year in or not quite a year in, that's when that album came out, and I was like bumping it all the time driving around LA. So when I hear it now, I think about LA as well, like just driving around, and it is like to me probably his most eclectic and his
Yeah.
most like spastic, or I don't, this might sound like super pretentious, but like almost like a Basquiat painting of like just some crazy shit all over the place.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's like a Basquiat painting. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to it, but it somehow connects at the same time. Like
Hmm.
it's so dynamic, and I just love dynamic music. I love things that are just like coming at you out of nowhere, like from here, from there. You're like, whoa, like, just you're just left kind of mind fucked after, like you're just kind of like your head spinning. You just feel like you just went through something with this person.
Right.
Um, like by the time it ends on Saint Pablo, you're just kind of like, the fuck did I just listen to?
Yeah, each
But like,
song is so different from each other, but somehow it works cohesively.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You really feel like you just got taken on like on a crazy journey. It's like that. It's like Zola. It's like the story, like the Zola movie, like this, like the girl, like the story that she tells on Twitter, like the original story where she's like, then we're here, and then we're there, and then we're here, and like this happens and that happens. You're like, wait, what the fuck? Like you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time. By the time it's done, you're like, whoa, like that was an experience. Like that could be a bit jarring for a lot of people, but I don't
Right.
know. I love that kind of chaos.
Yeah, it was jarring for me when I first heard it, and then you kind of get used to it and you start to find the beauty in the little
Hmm.
things. Personally, I
Yeah.
mean,
What's
I
yours?
gotta say, Yeezus is probably my favorite,
Jesus
just
is my number
because
two.
that was like just, and maybe I'm a little biased because it was actually the first Kanye album I listened to front to back. I kind of got into it late. That's when I was starting to
Mm,
like delve into like different music, and
hmm
I thought that's what Kanye was always. And then I listened
mm.
back to like Graduation and College Dropout and all of that. And I was like, oh, whoa, this is what it was. It must have been crazy. Like, it made me appreciate Jesus more because I was like, he went from that to this. And now, like, people, and it came out in 2013. Like, that's
Yeah.
an extra crazy thing. And On Site, that song was not my favorite when I first heard it. And now it's
Yeah.
definitely my favorite. Like, that is
Absolutely.
crazy that he took that risk and also made it the first song on the album. Like, that is a bold move.
Yeah. No, definitely. You know what's crazy is that was actually supposed to be the last song on the album, and Send It Up was supposed to be the first song on the album, or Bound, I think. Yeah, I think something like that. It was some weird order where then he ended up moving it first. Yeah, it's this weird, but it shows how like you could play the album in a cycle too.
Right.
Like Bound starts or Bound ends, and he's like fell in love, and then it starts where he's on site where he's being reckless again, and just this like the cycle of Kanye.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, Yeezus definitely became like my second favorite Kanye album over the. It definitely started off lower on my Kanye tier list, even though I have always loved that album, but as of I would say like this year 2020 2021, like it definitely inched its way back into like in the top two tier of my Kanye list
Mm-hmm.
because it's so closely related to Life of Pablo, and like just like that zany, just like out there, just and also like that's his most electronic album too. Like a lot of the producers he worked with, like Daft Punk, Stein, Brodinski, um, Arca, Evian Christ. Like I loved their music prior to kind of to them working on Yeezus. So for me, it was like a lot of my worlds were smacking together.
Mm.
Even Brodinski and Stein, like that was like at the peak of when I was like a huge fans of theirs, and like huge like I was like really into like French techno and French house at that time.
I've
And that's
never
what
heard of
they
him. What's their name?
Stein and Brodinski. Yeah, they're like the kind of the reason why that album sounds kind of the way it does. Like very industrial, very like yeah, just that raw, that dark industrial sound. They had a lot to do with just like architecting that sound for him. But anyways, I was really into their music outside of Yeezus prior to that. So like I said, it was like my worlds kind of came together on that album. So
That's so cool.
yeah. No, that album was a big deal for like the electronic music scene because like
Yeah, it's so minimal. It accomplishes so much with so
exactly.
little, so many or so little components, I guess.
Well, yeah, that and it took it took a lot of very underground electronic music producers, and kind of he worked with them like you just two things that you would like producers that you would never ever think Kanye would work with like what like whoa like I remember seeing it like wait I was like he's working with Gustavo Stein and Brodinski, like those are like at the time they were so niche for what they did, like they were so niche, and same with Arca and same with Evian Christ and even Daft Punk, even though they were 2013 was the biggest they'd ever been, what that was when Get Lucky and just came out,
Right,
but
right.
even still like Kanye used when like he took old Daft Punk's music, like when Daft Punk made music that sounded like that, when they made really raw industrial house and techno music, um, like On Site sounds like stuff from Daft Punk's first album, Homework.
Oh, okay.
So it was just really cool just seeing that and just being like, wow, okay, like this is sick. Like I see what Kanye's doing here, and it shows you just how different he is thinking than like other rappers, and just like how deep his tastes go. Like that's like some really deep electronic music that he like pulled from for Yeezus.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty sick.
So before we go, I do gotta ask you, what are your thoughts on Donda?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously we haven't heard it yet, but
Um, I mean I love what I've heard musically. I kind
okay.
of just I just want the album. Like I don't know. I have several different thoughts. I think this is the greatest marketing album rollout of all time, for one, if the album does come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it does come out when he says it's gonna come out, this is 100% the greatest album rollout of all time. Um, However, you just don't know with Kanye. He's extremely unpredictable. So and I do think it's gonna come out. I do, but there's just always that element of we might not ever get this album.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, which will be just hugely disappointing. And but also, I mean, I think it ties, if this album does come out, I think it ties the like his narrative, his story, like his kind of hero's journey narrative. I think this is kind of the bow on it all, just from what I've heard and from just like how I listen to his albums. Like even at the last listening party where they showed him like ascending, it's like, okay, like, all
Right.
right,
Yeah.
like this is like I am now ascending into my place of peace and closure with my mother. Like I'm officially closing this 20-year chapter, or however long this was. His mom died in 2007. So yeah, 15-year chapter of life almost up and moving on. I think that's what this album's supposed to be. Him like finally being like,
Right.
I'm finding peace with this and I'm moving on from this. And I think we'll see a different Kanye after this album comes out. I don't know what that'll be, but
Yeah.
so
I got to see the first listening party. I went to the first one.
oh wow. How was that experience? That's crazy.
It was crazy, and I didn't know I was going until like 2 days before because he
Wow.
announced it last minute, and it was the first concert I've been to since COVID, and
Wow.
I was like, all right, well I have to, like, I'm not even, I mean I am a big Kanye fan, but I wasn't going to go, and then I thought this is going to be like a historical moment, whether people like it or not, it will be a historical moment
Absolutely.
in music. And I'm very glad I went. I have friends that did go that are like, we felt like he just took our money, all that stuff. I'm like, I I totally feel why you would say that. But personally, I had pretty low expectations for, like, I don't know how it might turn out because he didn't talk at all. Obviously, it was a listening party. He's not gonna, perform. It would have been nice if he had the choir there because it said with the Sunday choir or Sunday
Mm,
service. So I thought that might happen, but it didn't. Visually, it was crazy because the first one was just a giant white, almost looked like
hmm.
an ice rink, and he's
Yeah,
wearing the
yeah,
the giant like orange suit, which is
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, the only thing that was frustrating to me was that the sound system was like
yeah.
so loud that you couldn't even tell if someone was rapping who it was. Like I didn't, somebody was like, Jay-Z was on that one song. I didn't even know. I didn't know because it was so loud and the bass just kind of overtook everything. And
Oh, interesting.
I knew that going into it because it's at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And I've heard from other people that any concert there is always like the sound system is not good. So I can't be mad about it because I knew that that was probably going to happen. But just
Hmm.
in general, being in that space and that environment was really, really cool for me. And I can, have bragging rights. That's like, oh yeah, I got to see that, that one time. And then he did it a second time, and now he's doing it a third time, which is nuts. I hope
Yeah,
this
yeah,
third
yeah.
one's the last one.
Apparently, he's supposed to do one in LA too.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard. Yeah, because it's supposed to be like Donda. Like he was born in Atlanta, right? So it's
I
like
guess
that's where
so.
his
Yeah, I forget he
that's
was
where his
born here.
yeah, yeah. So it's like that's where his roots are. Then it's like he's doing one in Chicago, and then he's gonna do one in LA. That's what they said. Or the last one just might be in Chicago, but it's like these places he's lived, and he's yeah. If yeah, it's just fun if you really know the story, like how he the narrative themes behind his albums. This album makes a lot of sense. On paper, it makes a ton of sense, and everything he's doing makes a ton of sense. So a lot of people don't realize all of these narrative things that go on within his music. So a lot of people, it's just to them, it's just Kanye being reckless and being crazy and just there's no just doing whatever he wants, which there's always that element of it too, but like a lot of what he's doing does actually make sense. So I appreciate all that aspect of it. I'm just genuinely scared that the album won't come out. I guess it's just my
Yeah.
final thing about it. But yeah, I mean we'll see. I think it will, and I hope it does, and I think it will be incredible. I also don't want to get my expectations up about that either though too high because you know it's, it sounds great from what we've heard. It sounds amazing. Obviously, you still don't know what can change, but yeah, I don't want to I want to just wait till it comes out and I can just put my headphones on and
Yes. That's all I want, man. I just want to sit in front of these speakers or in the car and just hear it.
just hear it. Yeah, but you should listen to. Are you familiar with Dissect podcast?
Yes, yeah, I listened to the whole Blonde Frank Ocean one.
Yeah, you got it, got it, got it. Yeah, you should definitely listen to the Kanye ones, the Yeezus
Okay.
and the My Beautiful Dark
Does
Twisted
he
Fantasy
he does
ones.
one on Jesus?
He does the Jesus was the latest one he just did,
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't
and
know that.
yeah, he did one on Jesus, and then at the end of Jesus, at the end of the episode, the season, he does a special 1 hour one on Life of Pablo.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So it's sick. And then he did one on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy as well. So
That's the one, honestly, like I just haven't really gotten into it, which people like think I'm
you're not a
crazy
big
for.
they no, I'm not. It's probably like the lowest on my Kanye album list. Like
Yeah, I mean,
it's not.
I've never
It,
listened. I like start it because I'm like I have to listen to it, and then like halfway through, I'm like I just want to hear Jesus or Life of Pablo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. I'm like this is kind of basic.
Yeah,
It's very basic. Like, and I think that's why people like it so much. It's like it's definitely him at like his most mainstream. You know, but
yeah,
like it doesn't. I mean, some of this I get why people love it, and some of the songs are incredible. Like Devil in a New Dress and
right.
obviously Runaway is you can't ever take Runaway away from anything. But um but yeah, no.
I don't feel like it maybe pushed the boundaries the way the
it,
other albums really did.
I completely agree. It really didn't. It really didn't. I'm starting to meet more and more My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy detractors.
That's awesome.
Like
That's so funny. I thought I was the
yeah,
only
yeah.
one.
No, and I thought I was the only one for a long time too, to the point where I wouldn't tell people. I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, it's a good album. And Rush Chico, like, some sucks. Why does everyone like it? Not sucks, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Compared to like a lot of other in his discography, it's definitely like, yeah. Um, yeah, and then my best friend, like, he was just like, he's arguably a bigger Kanye fan than I am, and he listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy the other day too, like for the first time in a long time. He's like, I don't remember it being this not good, and I was just like, yeah.
Damn.
Not that it was bad, but I was like, I remember it hitting harder for some reason when I listened to it
Right.
back then than it did now. He's like, it's gotten. He's like, the album got worse sounding.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
really hold up as much because
doesn't
it's
it?
I don't know.
Kanye said that's not his favorite album either. Recently,
Hmm.
he said
What
it.
did he what did he say was his favorite?
He said he really likes Life of Pablo
Yeah.
and uses. Yeah, he said it didn't age that well to him, which I think is true.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I mean, we could talk about Kanye forever, and it feels like
Absolutely.
we have. But
Yeah.
for the sake of your time and for the listeners, I think we'll end it on this note. But Monsieur Frazier, thank you for joining me for an episode of On That Note. It's been a pleasure discussing your creative process, your label Understated, which everybody should go check out the artists on. Everybody needs to listen to your new song, Keep You Close. And look out for your self-titled debut EP, which will be out September 1st. And thank you again for talking about Kanye with me for like 25 minutes. I had to get it out. You know, it's like it just feels good to talk about that stuff because I know a lot of people that don't even want to hear about it.
I can talk about Kanye all day long. So no, thank you for having me on to talk about Kanye because it definitely made my day because
Yeah,
it's just so fun. So no, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and this was a blast. Thank you again. Thank
of
you.
course, dude.
Yeah,
Shout out
yeah.
to Jamie Sloan for hooking us up.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we'll be in touch because there. So
Absolutely.
Funny stuff. Yeah.
Awesome,
All right.
man. I'll
Have a
talk
good
to you
one,
later.
brother. Yeah,
See
you
you,
too.
dude. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time.